videos on Saturday night, but tonight it's Sunday night. So technically it's Easter while we're making this video. So happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter, everyone. Anybody that's Christian, God bless you. He is risen. And it just goes to show you that love conquers all, even death.
Yes, I love that. That's so true. So Joe and I had a busy day, but a good day, would you say?
It's very productive. Coming out of, while you're rebuilding, there's a lot of financial devastation that happens. And while you're rebuilding, and you begin to recover, the energy that you get back, a lot of it for me has been used to work. So I worked today. Yes, it was Easter, but we got to work, and came home. All of us, Sharon got the kids, and we all did yard work, cut the grass. It was the first cut of the season. I raked up all the sticks in the front and the back. That was cool. And then Sharon made an awesome Easter dinner, and it is something I'm not used to. Like there's just china she brings out, and this bread basket. I know it's silly, like a wooden bowl, and makes a great meal. She's a great cook. So it was nice to be able to just sit together as a family, and just for a few minutes. And we do this actually every night. Sometimes one of my sons, or well, actually my youngest one that lives with us, he's not here. For the most time he is, but yeah, neither one of my boys came around today, and I was a little bit not taken back, not even upset or surprised. Just it's okay. I just got to keep on trudging forward and concentrate on the blessings that I do have, keep my perspective clear, and see things with the truth, and realize that gratitude is possible for even this guy.
I felt bad. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, is just for some of us, right? Like I know not all of us, but some of us, and I see this with Joe, there's an issue when, you get the divorce from the narcissist, or you're separated from the narcissist, and your children still swing over to the narcissist. And it's very difficult.
It was tough for me. It was very tough because when she had left, she took every dime out of my account. It continued to rob me blind for the next month and a half, including stealing the car. She already had a car.
It's more than that, though. She stole from you this year too.
Yeah, she's just So, it wasn't a normal divorce from a normal person. She abandoned her kids. We had 2 cats and a dog, and her mother living here at the house. When I went no contact and told her she couldn't live here no more because of the stealing and the robbery and this and that, and the affairs, I was just like, you're out.
But your son saw this, right?
Well, my sons witnessed, they witnessed what she did in the devastation. I did my best not to talk bad about her. Sometimes when I was in the kitchen, though, it would just come out, and they weren't around, but it's I don't know. I'm not that healthy. I hear people don't ever talk about it. They don't care what. I didn't intentionally talk bad about their mother.
No, I
it's
just want
I
to
would
say,
think about,
I've done that too. I have. For somebody to say, oh, don't ever speak badly about them. Well, these are people that destroyed not just you or me, but the kids as well. So yeah, my kids have heard a mouthful from me too.
Yeah, so, but here I was driving my bicycle. I'm in my 40s, back and forth to work, grocery shopping, cutting the grass, paying the bills, paying the mortgage, paying the utilities, getting cat litter, food for the dog, and allowing her mother to stay here. And I felt all alone, I was learning how to stick up for myself. But see, when I was young, my father had left my brother and I when I was young, about 12 or so, 11 and 12. My mother was an alcoholic, and a narcissist too, I believe. So there was a lot of unkind things that she said and did to us. I forgive her. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And the same with my dad. But I was really pissed off at my dad, and because I was why did you leave me here with her? You know how she is. But he didn't. He did the best he could, And later on in life, I made amends. But I was very loyal to my mom. Hey, you want to leave, Mom, and be a coward and have to have an affair in order to have the balls to leave because you're too chicken shit to live on your own. So I was very loyal to my mom, even though she was abusive, because it wasn't right what my dad did. Well, there was, and I don't know if that's normal or not, but there was no loyalty here with me. It was, yeah, but she's still ma, and like, and this, I tried to somehow explain to him like, what she's doing is she's hurting me, and I'm trying to carry us, and she has to stop hurting me, man, because I can't continue to do this. I'm fucking exhausted. But they just, it was mom always, and I tried to explain like, I don't care if it's your mother, your brother, your sister, whoever it is, when they drag you through the mud and they use you and abuse you and they don't make amends and change, then you need to cut ties. And if it's your mother, that's too bad. Like that, if it's your mother, it's even worse.
See,
Because
I agree with you, Joe. Like, loyalty is key. I mean, in fact, like, and now this is a little bit different, but when I first moved out here with Joe, my parents turned, like, they gave I don't say turn me into the police. They gave my phone number to the police because my ex was trying to find me. And that was like, I was done at that point. Like, no. And so I think for Joe, like, he has this issue with his kids. And I don't know, maybe some of you do too. And it's like when Joe told me, I was at work yesterday, and Joe told me that his youngest wasn't coming for Easter, I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. Like, I was so upset. And a part of the reason I was upset was because I knew what that was doing to you. That just, oh. And then let me just say this, like, you live with me and my kids who are loyal to me. Is that like bother you?
no, it's actually, I'm very proud of your children. You did such a hell of a job, man. Oh my God, I can't even. You guys, these kids are just very special, and I don't just say that, like they're very special kids. No, I get it. I guess it's just she's not a very positive person. She's not a good influence. Like, I remember I would think sometimes, like the last 20 years of our marriage, like I had 3 kids. She was the worst. She was the one that was the bad influence on the other kids because they're more mature than she is, but just drugs involved in things like she does, and like you rob people, like it's just a lot
No,
of chaos.
it's you guys,
And
like
it's
a
not
lot
a good,
of us,
it's not a good neighborhood either. And I grew up like,
well, where she lives now.
yeah, so and we're doing everything we can to get him on track. Like, he's looking into the military, which I believe is like a key component for him, like to self motivate, and discipline, which and camaraderie, that would be good for him. But the more time that he spends down there every weekend, it's like it's unproductive time. Like
Well, he goes through these cycles where he'll be like really serious, like at home and studying, and then he'll go through these other cycles where he's hanging out with like his mom for like long periods of time, and
I planted the seed. Like, I try to tell him, like, don't ever lower your standards or give up your values to go down to a level to meet somebody. Instead, like, have your hand out for people that are trying to get up to your level while you're leveling up. And if they want to help, then help them. But I don't care who it is. You don't level yourself down. You're constantly trying to build yourself, become the best you could be, the you that God wants you to be. It's taken me a lifetime and still some. A lot of it's been ego, and a lot of it's been like soul driven. But the only thing I can do is plant the seed. I can't control anybody. I can't even control myself a lot of times. Like, I need God's help in order to change. I can't do it on my own.
See, I've told Joe this before, you guys. Like, Joe's a good dad. You're good to your kids. You're good to your entire family. Like, you're just a good person. It really, really, see, I feel protective of you, so it hurts me when you're hurt. Like, it just hurts me because I have a good relationship with your youngest son. The oldest one, I don't, not really, because I don't know him that well. Like, he's on his own journey, and it's so painful. It's horrible. I can remember when I was in my early 20s, and I just, wanted to do everything my own way, and I was an adult finally. But I think when you're that age, though, you don't realize the stupid things that you're doing,
He's emotionally like 15. He's 21, but he's emotionally 15. And there's so much I want to do with him, but he knows that I'm in recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. And I've been sober for a few 24 hours. And he knows that, like, this home is a home of safety and peace and tranquility, people that want to do something with their lives. And there's no room for drugs or alcohol at home. So he knows that rule. So
there's no way you could I don't think it would be possible to try to trick you. Like if I was drinking or when the kids are drinking, that you would know.
I've been there and done it, man.
Yeah.
You can't bullshit a bullshitter,
Yeah.
so to speak. And he knows that. So it's just prayer, being the best that I can be. Like my father, even though he wasn't around much when he was, like this guy worked at a steel mill 70 hours a week, and then when I thought he was stupid because he left school at like in sixth grade, because during that time when a lot of families in the ghetto were growing up, if you could get into a machine shop or like a steel plant, that's what you did. But later on, he became a master plumber, got his license and welds, and so he was very smart. But the one thing that I listened to my dad was I listened to him with my eyes. Unconsciously, when I was growing up, I would see my dad wake up at 2:30 in the morning, come home at 3 o'clock from his first shift, eat something, take a nap maybe, and then go out to work like a plumbing call or whatever. And I saw that it was that kind of determination and motivation that could get you to level up. So I did that with my education. I did it with my work ethic. All of that is I listened with my eyes, and like I say he didn't love me sometimes, like when I thought that he didn't, but he took my brother and I, and we went from like a bad public school and we went into Catholic schools, and I had to go to college. Like all that work and everything he did wasn't just for him. It was for his sons and wanting a better life. And he did the best that he could. So did my mom. And growing up and being a parent myself, I kind of see things. And, a lot of times I hear people say, yeah, my mother was abused with my father. But I don't, I feel weird saying that. They were. But at the same time, there's so many positive qualities that I got from them.
You are so amazing. Like you've always amazed me with this. Ever since like when I first started speaking to you, even though like I know like part of you growing up, like it was difficult for you and you dealt with a lot of stuff. You're so respectful to your parents. Like it makes me feel bad sometimes because I'm not like that.
One of the greatest gifts I ever got to do was when I got sober, I was able to make amends to them. It wasn't so much like when you get sober, you learn to take responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah.
It's not about the other person. What did I do? Like, where was my part to play in all this stuff? And, I was young, stealing money from my mom's purse when I was like in 8th or 9th grade and having parties down in the basement and like just out till 3 o'clock in the morning, not being a good son. And I got to make amends to my mother and my father and told my dad, like, I'm sorry that I called you an asshole when you left. I was hurt. But I understand now that I'm a parent. And, there's a lot of tears, but the amends, the Latin word for amend, it comes from amendum, which means to change. Like if you make a change in the Constitution, it's an amendment.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much I'm sorry. It was like actions I had to take in order to make things right and not cower from people and not run away. Like to face people.
You seem so strong to me though, compared to a lot of other people. So like sometimes like you've said to me, like with your kids, like, well, I don't know why they're doing this, or I wasn't like this, and I think to myself, I told you, but I think you're stronger emotionally than you think you are. Like you have there's something really powerful and good inside of you, and you, even the way you are with like little animals, and like you're a good person. And I think sometimes
I was affected. A lot of things happened to me when growing up. I had 14 major operations by the time I was 7 years old from a birth complication. My mother taking her own life. Like the CPTSD and the symptoms I have, they're tormenting. Like they've been tormenting. It's I don't even know how to explain it. So I was very weak. It brought me to my knees. Like the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, the straw that came back was the narcissist that made me realize that holy shit, she's only part of the problem. I gotta look at myself and my stuff. But
yeah, that's not a good place to be, is it?
No, it's very awakening.
But it's good though, because if you go through it, like guys, like Joe was the one who really got me going on this, like really examining yourself.
That was the missing component. Like
you
had it all together, man. Like just a way, even in being in so much pain. Your humanity is like you wanted to start a channel to let people know that they weren't alone. And while you were in pain and you were living in this huge house with no income, you gave up your career 20 years before this, 2 kids, a whole bunch of animals. your thought is like, I want to let somebody else out there if they need help. I'm here. But the missing component that you had was, okay, let's forget about the narcissist because we know that they're actually, they're tornadoes. What was your part in it? And I remember you got very defensive at first, and I asked you a couple questions like, well, why did you tolerate being in an abusive relationship for 20 years?
But when you said that, though, it was just the most absurd thing. I think that was what you said when I was like,
Cut through.
Yeah. Because, you blame, I think a lot of people are like this, right? Like, you blame things that happened to you when you were a child, maybe on your parents or a teacher or some bullying at school, whatever it is. And then it's like, the narcissist, it's all them. And in all of this, you lose, well, what was my part? Like,
there's such a huge distraction. It's hard not to pass up. Like when you start to when the cobwebs start to kind of dissipate, and you see these people as insane buffoons. Like it's hard to look at yourself when there's glaring crap happening all around you right in front of you from a narcissist. It's not until
they're so bad. Like it just, you're looking at like a train wreck, and then to turn around and look at the side of the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like to take a look at yourself, and it's just very difficult. It was a no contact.
And it's painful, you're right, because you're hurt, and then you're dealing with a hurt situation, and it's horrible.
Here was another thing I had to ask myself was, did I love her? Okay, now this is 20 years of faithful, like, father, husband, my vows, and I was like, yeah, of course. Then there's another voice, maybe my God conscious. How could you love somebody that you don't trust at all, that cheated on you so many times, and you literally had to sleep with your wallet underneath your pillow? How is that love? And that was humbling to be able to admit, like, holy shit, I don't think I loved her. Now, that went against everything I thought I was a good person. I was honest. Yeah. It was love that I thought. But then it was just like, okay, well, if I don't love her, then I don't need to be freaked out as much as I am.
And that's part of the awakening, though. You know what I mean?
That's after like the second or third affair. Yeah. Like it was a long.
But you had to be there. If you had never gotten there, you'd probably still be with her.
What do you mean?
Like, say you had never gotten to the point where you realized, oh my God, like, I actually don't love this person. Or even just going through your mind, like, all right, she cheated on me, she's done this, she's done that. Well, how can I possibly say this? Like, if you never got to that point, if you never examined yourself, like, you'd probably, that's what I mean, you'd still, Well,
that's why, like, it's called shadow work, because you're bringing it from the dark into the light. And a lot of times, it's like, you don't got to do nothing. Your job is, like, to let the inner counselor inside of you, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, help you bring this to the light. And the light does its own work. The light kind of unravels everything for you if you give it a little bit of time.
Well, the thing is, you're so right, Joe, because that when I first started healing, right, I was still with my ex. This is the thing. I didn't know I was healing. I didn't know I was doing anything. All that happened was that I started following God. Now, God came into my life in a very dramatic way. But even with that said, I didn't always know I was following God. Like, for example, I felt this prompting to go to church. Now, at the time, I'm different now, but at the time, I was heavy into the abuse with my ex. And I did not like talking to other people. Major social anxiety in a major way. Like, guys, like a play date terrified me. Like another mother, like trying to talk to me at the school gate, like that was not cool with me. I was afraid. So to go to church and take my kids in a place where we, people are going to be looking at us because we're walking in. If you go to church, the people that go regularly. But I started following God, and little by little, like even when I didn't realize, things started happening. Even you, Joe, like you have had a role in my life too, like in many ways. But one of the things is you're the one, like I said, who started getting me on the path of, okay, maybe you should look at yourself, maybe, because I think...
You're never going to change a narcissist.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what I said before, and maybe what I spoke was like, I can control myself, but like, I can't even change myself. Like, I need God is just a half of that in order to truly like change the things that have been ingrained in me since I've been in the womb. like in the genetic part, in the rewiring of my brain from all the abuse and self-abuse, self-torture, that I need God to do that. So, like, if there's a problem, you better hope it's you. Because if it is, then there's a chance you can change it. If it's not, then acceptance is the answer.
Yes.
You gotta accept the narcissist as the
Yeah.
narcissist. And then you gotta look at yourself and dig into that shadow work to be like, holy shit. You begin to obsess less about the narcissist because you're too concerned with, holy shit, man, I'm crazy too. Like, I'm delusional. I'm like, many of the traits that these narcissists have, like, we share, and they can become magnified, not to the point of a disorder, or we don't have, like, we have cold empathy or anything like that, but yeah, it scared the shit out of me. Like, holy crap! Like, I got responsibilities, kids, and this and that. Like, I'm quietly going insane, and I've been gaslit. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what false is. It was just crazy.
Yeah, there's a real process to getting to the other side, but it's so worth it. Would you say that?
If I didn't do that, I would have went on to the bitter end. And here's how a parasitic relationship ends: either the parasite dies or the host dies.
I'm not going to say anything after this. Joe and I have both said this. Like, this is, maybe many of you can relate to this. I'll say it and just be done. Both Joe and I, he knew, just like I did, if we got back together with our exes, only one of us was going to survive. Like, that's the truth.
And it was a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
A lot of times it was like, I have self-hurt, but, you know...
Yeah,
you don't know when you're going to
yeah,
snap. Like,
yeah.
you don't. And I was, when she left, she had me convinced that I was emotionally and mentally abusive. And she left me with the kids and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, Joe, here's your chance. Like, talk to the kids and treat them extra loving and extra nice. And, like, my boys are older, so I'm like, Dad, guys, if I'm being a dick, let me know. Because I don't want to be. And I know that you guys are hurting, too. I'm not the only victim here. And after a while, I was just like, there's nothing wrong with me, man. Like, I might be a little bit confused and codependent, but I'm not this monster that she
No, like, when you tell me stuff like that she's told you, it's just, and it's like that for all of us. They convince us that we're this way, you know, and then I believed so many bad things about myself that my ex would tell me. I believed it. Like, I believed that was who I was. Like, I couldn't talk to other people. You were the one that one day said to me, "Oh, were you always like this?" And no, I wasn't. Like, but it was almost like my life began when I got involved with the narcissist, and I had nothing. There was nothing prior to that.
And you bring up a good point. It's like, since I met the narcissist, they were all that there was in life.
Yeah.
Like, it's centered around kids, family, marriage, whatever, finances. It's like, when you take a step back, you're like, wait a minute, I was on this earth for 26 years before I ever met this narcissist. And there's hobbies that like, who am I? And then you start to look at that, and then you get excited a little bit, like, wow. And then you learn how to forgive the narcissist and forgive everybody that's been gaslit by them, forgive the new supply, because you were one. And you learn to forgive yourself.
And you can start over. I mean, you can. Like, Joe and I mean, we're starting over. Like, just, we're really doing this. So you can do this too. You really can. We're both in hopeless situations, you guys. If it wasn't, and Joe and I are very similar in many ways. And our past entanglements were, like, similar in that way. Like, it's a miracle that we got out. Like, we're living miracles. We're alive. We're, like, doing okay. Like, we have our issues like everybody does, and we worry about the kids. But dear God, when I think about the absolute joy of being able to start over, and just, it's incredible. It makes me cry sometimes.
You know, when I used to, back in the day when I was hurting so bad, and I listened to people and were like, yeah, I got over it, I was on the other side. Like, I used to hate that.
Yeah, well, I used to think, well, that's not going to be me. Like, there was always some reason.
Yeah, but. And then anything after the word but is bullshit.
Like, somebody else, they had more money, they had more friends, they had more this,
They have a term for that. It's called terminal uniqueness.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm different.
Yeah.
And the truth is that, like, we all walk a journey separate from each other, yet, like, we're combined. But that journey is with your God on the inside. And everybody's journey is different. But in the end, just like Easter, like, love conquers all, even death. And love will find a way. You have to have the courage and be desperate enough to cry out to the universe, God as you understand him, whatever it is, like, please help me.
It's also like just taking little steps. Like I was following God without even realizing it. I just started, like, and this is the thing, it's weird because I don't know how to tell you how to do this, but it's almost like the best way for me to describe it is if you're like a child of God and you believe in the Holy Spirit and you have intuition and tells you should do this or not do that, follow it no matter what it says. Like that's how I got free, like by doing that. And I didn't even know I was doing it at first, but after a while, now it's so much easier. Like I actively look for the right thing.
Well, your God conscious is like you're in tune with that, very much so. For me, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first got sober, when I was getting sober, and I was about 25 at the time, and I talked to my coach, mentor, sponsor, whatever, and we were in a 12-step program. And I would tell him I had these thoughts of what I should do, and he's like, Joe, do yourself a favor. Whatever that first thought is, do the opposite. Do the opposite, and you'll be fine. So I was just laughing at that. It wasn't like that for me, guys. But the first time, like God, I was open to listen, not hear, but listen to God. I was in my garage 2.5 years ago, when
where we are right now.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where that God conscious voice said, Joe, you don't have to do this anymore. You did your part. Like, I'm setting you free. You're free. You don't have to go on this way.
See, I had a similar thing. Like I was reading Nahum, and I
What's Nahum?
Oh, Nahum is a book in the Bible, and I was really upset. I don't want to interrupt you totally.
No, go ahead.
I'll just quickly say, so I was reading the Bible, I was really upset. I opened to Nahum, and right in front of my eyes, all of a sudden it said something like, I don't know the passage in front of me, but I'll link it. I'll put it down underneath the video. Basically, your chains are broken, you're free. And I knew God was talking about my marriage. Like I knew at that point I was set free. And look for this in the description. I'll tell you exactly what it said. But I actually, Joan, I have a snake called Nahum because it's so special to me. But yeah, I heard it. So what happened with you?
So it basically, the toxic guilt of staying in a marriage that was broken, I was able to be free. I had to go ahead from God. As a matter of fact, like my God has a sense of humor. He's just like, listen, you dumbass, you take her back again, it's on you. But I knew if I did, like one of us wouldn't be around. Yeah.
Well, that's a scary thing because that's not just saying it. That's real. I understand that.
I came very close to hurting myself in a way that like it would have been a permanent choice to a temporary situation. I could tell you then, as I began my recovery and I was doing the shadow work, I was looking at myself and recovering, like the next like God conscious voice that came to me is when I talked to you. When I reached out to you, and I was like, well, we got to meet. Like, let's catch up and meet. It was nothing more than to say, wow, you're a single parent. You have 2 kids. And I'm a single parent. I got 2 kids.
I was just going to tell you, for Joe to do that, now that I know you, people must have been shocked that you did that. Shocked.
Oh, yeah. Well, my friends were like, what are you doing? And I was still like, I had to do grocery shopping Friday instead of Sunday and cut the grass and this. And the last thing that I ever wanted was another relationship. Like, I was okay with myself going to the gym at 4:30 in the morning, like training my ass off, like my kids respecting me, working my ass off. I didn't have time. But I remember guys like, something like, you got to meet her. You got to just meet her and give her a hug. And because when I was listening to your channel we made some comments back and forth, it was just something that God wanted me to do. It was nothing more than, and I wasn't nervous really. I was like, because this is what God wants me to do. We're friends. Like, I don't care if you're a Martian or if you're 3 foot tall, or it doesn't matter. Like I valued like the light in you, in your story, that it was just like something I had to do. And then from there, it's just God's got his fingerprints all over our relationship,
Well, it was weird too because we didn't live in the same state, so we were in a long distance relationship. In fact, we moved in together after we had only been with each other twice.
Yeah, and trust me, guys, like it sounds nuts. Like if we told any of our friends, they'd be like, Jesus, Joe, like, are you sure? Like, you don't even know this person. And it was not, like, and to give them credit, like, shit could have went south. It could have went south.
Oh yeah, they weren't wrong. It does sound crazy,
And there's a lot of shit that can go wrong. You got like the kids are this and this one's that, and then we got all these animals. It was like there was no way it was going to work. Yet it did, and I can only say that it was coming to terms with my former codependence, coming to terms with my low self-esteem, looking at myself and my flaws. It's like we came together not out of need, but it was just, I don't even know if it's out of want. It was just something that we were told to do that we listened to. It's very strange. It's very...
Yeah, God was all over this, like, because I felt the same way as you, and like, and even like, I eventually wanted to get remarried, like, but I never gave it thought other than that. But you would not have been the person because you were a long way away from me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even have expected to meet you. In fact, you said that to me, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come see you, and I'm like, okay, like, you know what I mean? There was like this part of me that didn't think, I don't know, like, I could have seen it not working out, I guess is what I meant.
Yeah, and there was no other intention other than I opened my mouth and I was like, shit, like I got to drive 13 hours to go see her. But I knew like God wanted me to do this. And it was only just to like give you a hug and say hi and thank you for all the friendship and support and God bless you, you know, that kind of deal. But we hit it off, you know, and I'm glad that, you know, if I would not have recovered, if I wouldn't have been honest with myself, seen my faults, know to stay away from F5 tornadoes, know that I can't change them, that I need God to change me.
Guys, I want to interrupt you for 1 second. Someday we're going to have to talk about what happened when you came to see me. When you came to see me.
Oh, yeah, the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that. That'll be fun. But I actually, like, I sent you a picture of my driver's license, too, just so you knew who you're dealing with.
I gave it to a friend of mine, too. Like, I sent her that because in case I didn't show up the next day.
I wouldn't recommend the shit to nobody. Like,
I actually said that to Joe one time. I was joking around. I was like, yeah, I went to this hotel to meet this guy that, you know, I'd never met before. And Joe was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it was you.
Yeah, it sounded like nuts, you know. But that's just how he had it planned. And the story's not over yet. But, yeah, I was following my God conscious. I remember I started writing in the name of my, I don't know, essay, whatever it was, When the Soul Leads. You know, because I ignored the red flags and I didn't believe in myself enough and I didn't have a relationship with God to, like, have any kind of discernment or wisdom. I was like a young sheep, like being herded to the slaughterhouse and not knowing.
I think that happens to probably all of us. All of a sudden, you're in this situation. I mean, who could ever expect this? But really, the thing I want to get across in tonight's video is you really can get out. And Joe and I had a very different situation, but similar circumstances, and we did the same thing to get out. We had different things we had to heal, but you and I are both really, even now, I think I'll always be this way. Like, I'm always striving to be the best that I can be. Like, I would never say I'm here. Like, I made it.
Arrived.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's been good. And we talked a little bit about, like, some things that happen that are good and some that are bad. And one of the things that helps Sharon and I out is, like, when we look back in our past, even separate, like, where was I a year or two ago?
Yeah.
Where am I today? And it's always like, well, I'm not where I want to be, but it's definitely not where I was. So I use that time as like a measurement to see how far I've grown. True change probably takes a long time, but I'm changing and heading towards the right direction. It's not perfection, it's progress.
I love that. And that's a perfect way to end. So guys, thank you for listening. I hope that you guys had a great Easter.
Do you want to talk about the email that our buddy sent? Like, comment? We could talk about it next week.
Yes. Maybe? Okay. Let me just add this in. So
we did get it, so thank you.
Yeah, this person who sent us, his name is Michael, who sent us the email. I'm going to get in touch with you this week because Joe and I want to do a show on your situation. So
hopefully, if
I think
all
so.
goes well, there's always something going on here at the house with the kids and the cats or whatever. But we'd like to try to touch base and learn a little bit more about what it's basically. From what I gathered, I didn't read all of it. Sharon read it. Something to do with like allowing the court systems and the social workers and the judges like an awareness of narcissistic personality disorder and how it affects like a marriage, or because he's having
sort
issues
of
with kids.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say anything wrong.
Well, yeah,
but we will be in touch with you.
It's
and
totally interesting.
Yeah, we'll be in
sure.
touch with you, and I get it. Like I get it. This is somebody a supporter of the channel who's struggling with something, and involves your kids, like, and anything that involves my kids, Joe's kids, I mean, you're super sensitive about it, and I get it, and you're talking about I get it, like, I'm just telling, like, I know what you're saying. This is your kid's childhood, and they only have a childhood once, so God bless you. We're praying for you, and I will be in touch with you this week. I hope everybody, and you too, has a great week, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
God bless you guys.